Welcome back to the second Sunday breakdown of 2021. I hope you all are doing well, having a good day. Today we're going to be talking about F1's IMOLA Grand Prix, the Autodrome di Enzo Ferrari, and Italy. So it's a fun one, we always have fun in Italian circuits, and I think that today hopefully you guys can just catch up on what happened then. And if you guys do enjoy it, leave a like in the video, consider subscribing, and without any further ado, let's roll the intro. Alright, so coming back here for the second race of the F1 2020 season here in the Pirelli Gran Premio d'Italia, Emilia Romagna. That is for the Imola Grand Prix in Italy. So taking it from Bahrain to Imola. It's going to be It was pretty fun Grand Prix, pretty eventful, very eventful. If you guys have not seen the YouTube recap from F1 official channel, you guys should check that out because that is very nice, or it's very informative as well. And there was a lot of talk in the community about this, but you have to start somewhere. And today we're going to be starting with free practice 1. So free practice, they're just getting into it. This is the second year that they've done this, so some of the newer guys did struggle, and we do see that as some of them were lower down the order. You have Yuki Tsunoda, first year in F1, the rookie, in the Alpha Tauri Honda, going 20th with a 1:14.73.2 seconds off Valtteri Bottas, who was first in this FP1. Mick Schumacher, another newcomer here, with a 19.4, and then Nikita Mazepin, his Ferrari Haas partner, in 18th place with a 1:18.8. So the three rookies in that bottom three, but they will change up during this season, and I think they do change up during the race and other practice sessions, so they do get to learn this track pretty fast, pretty well. Ocon in 17th, Perez in 16th, Giovinazzi 15th. Vettel showing a little bit more pace than he has been. He's trying to push within the top 15. He's been struggling a little bit, I have to say. I do love Seb. I don't think anybody hates him. I think everybody loves this guy. He's a nice driver, all around a good person, I think. But he has been struggling. But it is nice to see him get back and trying to gain some spots here. Lando Norris in 13th, Kimi Räikkönen in 12th, and George Russell in 11th. George Russell has been really pushing. He's been trying to prove his worth, trying to prove his spot, and this race doesn't help him, as we'll see. But I think he is a great driver. I think a lot of us did underestimate him, myself included. I didn't think that he was that great of a driver when he was first coming in, but I've definitely underestimated him, and we've seen how he's progressed and been able to do great things. Of course, this is free practice, so take it with a grain of salt. This top 10, Daniel Ricciardo in 10th place, Nicholas Latifi 9th place. Take that with a grain of salt as well, because that's just wild. Lance Stroll in 8th, Fernando Alonso in 7th, Charles Leclerc in 6th place, Carlos Sainz in 5th, Pierre Gasly in 4th, Max Verstappen in 3rd, Lewis Hamilton in 2nd, and Valtteri Bottas in 1st. For FP1, rounding it out with a 1:16.5, very nice. I think that was a nice race, because if you go back to last year, we only had one free practice 1. Lewis Hamilton took that with a 1:14, and pole position last year was a 1:14.2. So taking it back this year, do have a little bit of a different FP1 with almost 2 seconds off the pace. Everybody a little bit off the pace, but we do have FP2 running through the order. You have Nikita Mazepin going back to the very last with a 1:17.8. Mick Schumacher in 19th place. Both Haas Ferraris in the back, as they do have slight disadvantage with their car as it is standing in last year's regulations and just everything last year. A little bit older, Daniel Ricciardo in 18th, Kimi Räikkönen in 17th, George Russell did fall back a little bit in 16th, Seb staying in 15th with a 17.092. Max Verstappen falling back as well. 14th place, Fernando Alonso. 13th, Nicholas Latifi. 12th, Ocon. 11th, and then get in the top 10. You have the Aston Martin of Stroll in 10th. Giovinazzi showing some nice pace there with the 116.5. Moving into 9th, Lando Norris, the milkman. And 8th, Yuki, the rookie in AlphaTauri. He put in a nice lap with the 116.4. Very nice lead done from him. Sergio Perez moving back up from where he was previously outside the top 10 into 6th place. Charles Leclerc staying with nicely in that spot in 5th place with the 116.3. Carlos Sainz still trying to push in his Ferrari. Both Ferrari teammates are doing pretty well this year. In 4th place, Pierre Gasly. In 3rd, Lewis Hamilton in 2nd, and Valtteri Bottas in 1st. Valtteri Bottas looking very fast. He's trying to push, and just try to set his worth for the team and show that he is a force to be reckoned with. He's not second driver. He's trying to show that he's first driver, and that's really what we do see from him. Going to FP2 on Saturday, or FP3 on Saturday here, right before qualifying. You have them putting in their last tests. You do have a nice 114.9 for Max Verstappen, trying to break that 15-second mark and get that pace for qualifying, which is nice. But going from the back, Nikita Mazepin is last again. For the second time. I think Yuki was last in FP1. Kimi in 19th, Giovinazzi in 18th, Latifi 17th, Mick Schumacher 16th, George Russell 15th, Seb 14th, Ricciardo 13th, Stroll 12th, and Yuki 11th. Yuki rounding off the back 10 with a 116.23. Ocon in 10th, Fernando Alonso in 9th. Both Renault Alpine guys staying 9, 10. Nice to see that they're at least together in the top 10. Valtteri Bottas falling a bit behind from his one place on Friday. Carlos Sainz 7th, Pierre Gasly 6th, Charles Leclerc another 5th spot. He really does love that. Sergio Perez moving up into 4th place, trying to challenge with those Mercedes and the Red Bulls of Max Verstappen. Lewis Hamilton, Lando Norris taking a 2nd place, and then Max Verstappen finishing off that free practice session. Now going to qualifying here, same qualifying session. It was pole position was a 114.41. So comparing that again back to last year, it was last year's pole was a 113.06 by Valtteri Bottas. So almost a full second off, but it is what it is. And we just have to say, well, like I said, it was the year. It's different conditions and different time. So it is what it is. Not as fast, but it is all right then. And I believe it was a little bit wet there, but Yuki did not put a time in. He was not able to put a time in for the first free practice, putting him at the very back of the grid. Nikita Mazepin with a 116.7 and Mick Schumacher following that with a 116.2. Giovinazzi in 17th, Kimi in 15th. The Alpines made it out nicely, and so did the Aston Martins. Very nice for them to get out. Both Williams, I do have to note, made it out of Q2, which is made out of Q1, which is a little bit surprising. It's not every day you see both Williams make it out of Q1, so nice for them. Props to them. Fernando Alonso setting a 115.5, a very nice time indeed, but not able to get him into the top 10 shootout, leaving him in 15th place. Nicholas Latifi set a little bit of a faster lap with 14 in 14th place with a 115.593. Same time there, same time. Aston Martin, Seb is 13th, George Russell 12th, very nice from him, and Carlos Sainz in 11th. See, George Russell did set a very nice lap, a 115.26, which would have beat out Esteban Ocon in the first practice session, which is crazy. He could have been in the top 10 for the first practice session or first qualifying session of Q1, and it just didn't hold up in the remaining parts of this But it's all right. Carlos Sainz set a nice lap to a 1:15.19, so that is what it is. Going into the top 10 shootout, Lance Stroll was not able to set a time, but did make it into Q3, finishing at 10th for the starting grid. Ocon in his Alpine finished 9th with a 1:15.2. Very nice from him. He was making some space between him and his teammate Fernando Alonso. Nice to see them battle. Valtteri Bottas did struggle a little bit more. He set his fastest time in Q1, which is a 1:14.6. And then he dropped back until a 1:14.8 during the top 10 shootout, only beating out Esteban Ocon by about 0.4, which is a little bit of a larger margin. Lando Norris goes 7th. Daniel Ricciardo goes 6th. Pierre Gasly in that 5th place. Very nice. Charles Leclerc moving up from his 5th spot to 4th place with a 1:14.7. Very nice from him. Max Verstappen a little bit far behind pole, and it's very close, but he missed out. Like, comparatively through these lap times, they're all very close, and when you do get that far behind, it's not good. I say he's far behind. I'm not trying to contradict myself. He is, I think it's that is 800ths behind him, but that is far behind. It might be a short amount of time, but it is far behind for this circuit. And yeah, he just missed out. Sergio Perez is right above him by about 4 or 5 hundredths. And then Lewis Hamilton ahead of that by 300ths of a second. So small increments of time, but they are very significant. They are very large, very, very important as we go. So starting grid was that layup. You have the 10th and 20th people who never set times in their designated qualifying sessions, but they still got those places. Yuki, hopefully he'll make up some places. At least we hoped that he would, and we'll see how that race pans out. But going to the race here, we did have 3 DNFs, which was pretty interesting. We had a couple spins, a couple crashes, and we got to see the race type of these guys, so it was interesting. Going to the first race here, or the starting laps, you do have these guys that are going in. You have the first lap, you have Max Verstappen, Lewis Hamilton, and who's the other racer? I'm blanking on his name. Sergio Perez. Oh my goodness, what am I talking about? Sergio Perez going head-to-head. Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton go head-to-head in the first turn. And then there's a piece of bodywork that goes flying off of Lewis Hamilton's car. They are making contact, and then Max Verstappen is able to get the lead there. On the opening lap, you do have a yellow flag and the safety car because Nicholas Latifi spins onto the first chicane area of the IMOLA track, and then when he rejoins, he does rejoin in, I would say, a safe manner, but there was an issue of Nikita Mazepin just not slowing down or not making way for him, I guess. I think it was more of a race incident, but he did crash and then crashed into Nikita Mazepin and was out for the race. So that caused a yellow flag, and then you had to have the race restart. On the race restart, it was very nice, you having everybody there. But yeah, it was a very tight race between Leclerc, Hamilton, Lando Norris, and Max Verstappen. It was very tight racing up until the end. And you can see how when we finished this race, the Ferraris both were 27 and 25 seconds off. That is 2 seconds in between. That is crazy close. That is like within striking distance almost if you have just a couple more laps. They were really close to each other. And then you have Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton, who were 23 seconds and 22 seconds off from Max Verstappen. That is very close. All those guys within the 30-second range, 20 to 30-second range. That is extremely close of striking each other. Now, I did say that Valtteri Bottas had a poor qualifying, and George Russell was in 11th. He had a very nice qualifying, and there was an issue with that. Before I go on to that, I do want to say that on lap 31, Lewis Hamilton was sliding off the road. It was a very wet race, and everything, as Charles Leclerc showed us on the formation lap, that he did slide off, didn't lose any positions from that, as we do see he finishes fourth. So no matter what happens, you can always finish, and we'll talk about this. Lewis Hamilton slid off on lap 31 and had to recover. This man was in 8th place, mind you, 8th place by the time that he had slid off, and he had fallen down very, very far. To get to 2nd place from 8th place when you only have 30 laps of the race remaining, that is crazy. That is like absolutely mind-boggling. That's almost, I guess, like a lap behind at that point. Yes, he did have the yellow flag. Yes, he did have the race restart. But to have that kind of pace is just crazy. Now, he did have help by the race restart, but yeah, he showed his GOAT credentials for sure. Now, Valtteri Bottas was having a poor result. He was not doing the best. He was in 9th place. George Russell was in 10th. George Russell had gained a place. Valtteri Bottas had lost a place, and they were very close, tail to tail racing. And George Russell was about to overtake him on a straight, right into the corner. I believe it was around turn 2. No. What is it? What is that turn? There's a specific turn for that, I think. I'm just not completely sure. It's a long one, 7 maybe. I think it might be 7. It might be out of 4, something like that. But they were about to overtake each other, and you had Valtteri Bottas go up the left side. He established that line, mind you. When you're racing, you'd have to establish a line. Valtteri Bottas established his line on the left. George Russell said, "Okay, that's your line. I respect that." He did respect that, and he went up the right. Now, you can pressure a driver. You can squeeze a driver, and he squeezed George Russell to the point where he had a car length on the track. That's racing, I guess. And then George Russell didn't feel like he had enough space. He accidentally went onto the grass and then spun out into Valtteri Bottas, causing a big crash, DNFing both of them. Now, there was a lot of controversy over this incident. Whose fault was it? And to be quite frank, I think it was a racing incident. While both the drivers may have done things that were not great, Valtteri Bottas squeezed out one of his, teammates, because they're both from Mercedes. Not direct teammates, but somewhat. He squeezed out one of his fellow competitors to the point where they were in an uncomfortable spot. And then George Russell also was not able to maneuver his car. I wouldn't say that it was a big play to go for that by George Russell. Props to him for thinking that he could do that. Props to him for almost completing that. But I think there's faults on both drivers. Yes, it does hurt your ego when you're being overtaken by a Williams in 2021. But there's also a part where you're like, let him have his fun, right? I just don't know where that line can be crossed or anything, and I just not completely sure, right? I think that you have to think about this from a greater perspective, and just look at it and say, well, they were both going 300 kilometers per hour. That is crazy fast. And when you make a slight movement to defend a position, that is legal, and that is something that is done in the race setting. You can't argue that is immoral, because every racer almost does it. So I definitely think it was a race incident. Yes, there may be parts on both drivers. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I just do want to see. It was a very eventful race. From there, Hamilton was able to come back, and then there was battles up until the end. You do have a couple spins. Yuki does spin a couple times, and so does Sergio Perez. It's very wet conditions. There were wet conditions, but everybody did turn onto slicks towards the end. And I think that's where the trouble started. Going over to our final grid, starting from the back, not including the DNFs of Latifi, Russell, and Bottas. You have Nikita Mazepin in 17th, Mick Schumacher 16th, Vettel 15th, Giovinazzi 14th, Kimi in 13th, Yuki in 12th, Perez in 11th, Fernando in 10th, Ocon in 9th, Lance Stroll in 8th, Pierre Gasly in 7th, Ricciardo in 6th, Sainz in 5th, Leclerc in 4th, Norris in 3rd, getting another podium. Very nice of that Brit. Lewis Hamilton in 2nd, and then Max Verstappen in 1st. Very happy for Max Verstappen. Quite ecstatic, actually, that he was able to do that. Penalties were given out a fair amount, actually. Yuki received a 5-second, Stroll received a 5-second, and Kimi received a 30-second for the rolling start infringement, which for a guy like Kimi who's been in the sport for a long time, you don't see that often. But it is what it is. You do have these guys that do that, so it is all right. But Max Verstappen winning this race really did challenge Lewis Hamilton's authority. You have 61 points that go to Lewis Hamilton at this moment, 5-6-21, or if you're UK 6-5-21. So yeah, May 6th is the date, and you have Max Verstappen who has 61 points and Lewis Hamilton has 69, but they were in 1 point at that race, and it was a very close battle. It's just crazy how close these drivers race. You see it with the other guys, with George Russell and Bottas, how close they drive, but also with points, how close they can push it. And I just want to see, by the end of the season, can we maybe even get a championship race? When we go to, is it Australia? No, it's Abu Dhabi, the closing race. Can we get a championship race for Abu Dhabi? Can we have points that matter? I think that would just be amazing. Those 6 points in between those guys. You had six? No, what am I talking about? 7 or 8. If you get the fastest lap in between 1 and 2, if those 7 points could be the deal breaker between those, and if we have a close race, I think that could definitely be the chance. So that's what I'm hoping to see out of this race. This race was a very fun one, very interesting one. If you want to go check out the F1 coverage of that, you should definitely on YouTube, the race highlights, because it was very fun. But I hope you guys did enjoy listening to this, enjoyed learning a little bit about the race, getting your Sunday breakdown in. Now, I do have something about the channel. We're trying to get on to a nice schedule here, an upload schedule, a consistent one. Announcing now, as of next week, that is the week of the 15th, starting the week of the 16th, starting Sunday 16th. I'm going to try to have a consistent upload schedule as noted on the tab of my about page. So Sunday we'll have the Sunday breakdown. Monday we'll have some NASCAR Heat 5. Tuesday F1 2020, my team. Wednesday American Truck Simulator or Euro Truck Simulator 2. Thursday F1 2020 career mode, that's in the AlphaTauri. Friday Journey to Glory, which is the 69,420 laps of the Nürburgring GP circuit. And then Saturday we'll finish it off with the Project Cars 2 Career Series. That is the one where we are in that like a Formula V type car. So we'll continue doing that. If you guys do enjoy this video, leave a like on the video. Consider subscribing if any of that content sounds interesting, or let me know what kind of content you guys want to see in the future. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Until next time, peace.